Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to session 79 of the Sphere of Power campaign. We're coming down to the end. I can feel it. I can taste it. We're getting close, folks. This session we are calling Grand Designs. Having found the large tropical garden that is somehow part of Martek's final resting place, the party discovers they are not alone. At least two groups of people have found themselves trapped here, brought by the promise of Martek's prophecy and apparently denied further passage without possession of the star gems. One group appears to have been here for quite a long time, the Guilders, a small group of lithe, darker skinned, and simple minded humans who have descended from some distant ancestors who found themselves trapped here long ago, and who have come to believe that this is this garden is the entire world that they live in. Based upon one of their shanties heard around a welcoming feast, it seems their ancestors were likely members of a thieves' guild. They are, or were led by a man named Bardic, and all are awaiting their final reward from some deity they called Matik, who lives beyond the great doors that can be found on the northern end of this place. The other group appears to have arrived only about a week ago, obviously searching for power and reward. The first one encountered was a drow elf named Paunus, who welcomed you and your companions to the garden, along with the Guilders. At the feast, you would also meet Sardok and Trifacus. Sardok was a rather rude fellow who avoided efforts to engage the party, while Trifacus appeared to be a wizard of some skill and was much more congenial. It is obvious the trio have already exerted their will over the Guilders, and needless to say, Sardok's demeanor and Paunus's general appearance seem to be in contrast to the demeanor of the wizard, who clearly is the one in charge. Party is warned of others who may be lurking in the garden and told that they might find a place to set up camp in a clearing in the northwest where the newcomers have established themselves. But your feeling is that it would be best not to remain too close to these three, at least until you can be sure of their motives and intents. So that's about where you find you got yourselves at. This it is early morning at this point. You've all been up late enjoying the feast, and some not too unworthy libations. Certainly not the best you've had, but it doesn't seem to be too bad for a group of primitives living in an isolated place. You still have no idea what this place is exactly, whether it's just an alternate location or some interdimensional pocket space that Martech has created, but it's pretty clear based on the fact that the Guilders have been here for several generations that um, it you're hoping that the star gems will get you out of here because otherwise there doesn't seem to be any other way out. And as mentioned, Trifacus and Paunus suggested that you join them in the clearing that they have to the northwest, or at least set your camp up there by them. But you've decided probably not the best option. But you are pretty tired at this point. I don't know. I should probably have you guys do a constitution check to see if you overindulged during the feast, unless you've explicitly chosen not to.
Do I have to? Kaylee does not actually enjoy alcohol
If
at
you've
all. So
explicitly chosen not to drink, then you do not have to.
okay, yeah,
I can't remember if I did or not.
Varric, you were tempted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, quite the headache. I want to say I didn't, but I can't prove it. So
Yeah, we're gonna say this is not quite like ale. It's a little more fruity. Actually, if any of you are familiar with lambics, that's probably what we would have to call it.
I'm good anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I was responsible.
Oh yeah, hey, you're in good shape. But you can't say quite the same about your brother, unfortunately.
Well, it kind of works out. I love how these things work out because my brother probably wanted to imbibe, and I was like, "Yeah, dude, I got you."
I need a night.
I like how this stuff works out.
All right. So anything Varric says for the next few hours, we will take with a grain of salt. Um, Meanwhile, what would the rest of you like to do?
I'm just not really sure about the trio who's been here for a week. It rubs me the wrong way. I mean, we're getting a vibe from them, from the natives, that they're respecting the newcomers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if the newcomers have only been here for a week and they've put themselves in a position of respect and whatever, but they approached us and are like, "Oh, you guys are guilders now. You're one of us." That makes me second guess them a little bit, because why wouldn't they approach us with the same sort of respect if that's kind of how they look at newcomers? We're being treated as one of them while the other three are being treated as higher on the totem pole, I guess.
Well, just to point out, I don't think this really requires a perception roll, but even a week is substantially more time than just a few hours.
True.
Yeah.
And to also point out, the Guilders are definitely very simple-minded people. They've been inbred for a few generations.
Well, which makes me wonder, did the group that come in manipulate them into thinking that they were deific,
Now
I
that may
guess.
be a valid question. And just to point out, Varric, you and Fekish were enjoying drinking games while you let the others talk. So
Solid.
the two of you are brothers in arms at the moment.
Tossing them back.
Yep.
I mean, I can always just like
Argument about who has the better
Lay on hands.
constitution, Dragonborn or Goliath.
There you go.
my God's better than your God.
Let's see who drinks who under the table. So at least you guys are in a jovial mood, we'll say. Certainly the lushness, the sense of life all around you. I brought this up the last session, but it still is pretty overwhelming. All of you have been subject to the cruelties of the desert for the past 2 months, and this
Yeah.
landscape, this biome is just so refreshing and invigorating and gratifying. Not saying that you're blinded by it, but it's pretty hard for your thoughts to put you in a bad mood. You're more inclined to, yeah, I can deal with, yeah, that's probably a good point, but I can deal with that later. Right now, I just kind of want to enjoy this. And I would presume more than just a few of you have looked at the lake by which you're sitting and said, God, it would be nice for a swim.
Mm-hmm. Especially if I'm drunk, we're going for a swim.
Sin clothing.
Yep.
Sans clothing, however you want to use the phrase.
All right, and Albie's going to decide to join. Fekish is going to decide to join you as well. And you hop into the water. And as expected, the water is cool and refreshing. It's very clear and very clean. Small little fish can be swimming, dotting around to and fro throughout it. Obviously not getting too close to you guys, but you can definitely see them darting in and out. And I should also point out at this time in the morning, the dome itself that's covering it has uniformly darkened. There's no moon or stars, but it's not pitch black either. It's just gone down to what you would consider the equivalent light of maybe a quarter moon or a crescent moon. So just enough to see by, not overpowering. Certainly, those of you with elvish eyesight are having no difficulty whatsoever. Those of you without trained eyes, i.e., rogue like perception, eye perception abilities, you might find it a little bit more difficult. You might find yourself tripping over something in the dark or whatever. But again, it's not pitch black out.
Do I need to do it at a disadvantage because I'm intoxicated?
Yeah, quite possibly.
All right. I do have my monocle, so like now that I'm drunk, I'm going, prof, prof, prof.
And you're probably quite fascinated with the little fishies. They look tasty, as a matter of fact. But quite
These fish in
honestly, the
here
chances
gonna
of you
be
catching
delicious.
one without a tool or a net or something, yeah, probably not going to happen.
Oh yeah.
The bottom of the pool is sandy in some places, rocky in others, and there are various plants that are growing on the bottom. But otherwise, like I said, as expected, it feels very, very refreshing, especially if you like cold water. Oh yeah, the feast was pretty good. It wasn't extravagant, but it was good food. Definitely.
I mean, that was the fanciest spider leg I ever ate, all seasoned up. It's delicious.
Yep.
Oh yeah, they know how to prep their spider.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Ms., that brings up an interesting question. Are you setting up camp somewhere in this glade on one side or other of the waterway, or are you going to look for an area more remote? And if so, with whom?
Well, I'm with Kaoli in a pocket, but if she wants me to set up a secret base camp for her with my druid magic, I can do.
Alex, how's Kaoli feeling at the moment? Are you going to wait for the rest of the party, or are you and Ms. considering venturing off on your own to scout out a suitable campsite? Oh, there we go. These are, for the most part, palm trees. So
Okay.
getting up them is not going to be very easy because they are pretty sheer for the first 10 to 20 feet easily. There is lower brush among them. They certainly are not going to support your weight. They definitely provide a lot more cover. But if you want to use your tools and your skills, there's no reason why you couldn't get yourself up into the canopy and potentially fabricate or otherwise construct some kind of bed or loft or something similar up there if that is your goal. However, from your standpoint, so far, other than it being actually on the ground cover is pretty dense within the tree line.
Okay. Yeah, I'm probably not going to actually take the effort to climb one of these trees. Actually, oh, here's a question. How much have I noticed the Guilders' activities with making small objects disappear from my companions? Because I mean, that's something that I'm hyper aware of about myself.
Sure to what degree. There's
Okay.
been enough going on that you're pretty sure that they've got slippery fingers. But
okay, but
they're
I
also pretty
can't
good
actually.
at it. They're also pretty good
Okay.
at it. And they're not obvious. They obviously have enough skill to kind of be aware of their circumstances and their surroundings. You have caught them quite a few times looking at you as if they're, hey, is she paying attention to me?
Yeah.
And that obviously raises your eyebrow. They
Okay.
seem to be as aware of your movements as you are trying to be of theirs. So in that regard, yes.
Sneaky little bastards.
But you haven't seen them lift anything yet.
I haven't seen them lift anything from my companions, but I'm very aware that they want to, and they have probably tried.
Yes, this is true.
Okay. In that case, actually, I think I might make the effort to climb.
Now, keep in mind also, these little buggers are good. You know, that they are
Mhm.
fluid in their motions. They obviously know how to get around in the garden. And
Yep.
presumably that means the trees as well. And you do recall
Yep.
when you first arrived that a few of them seemed to step out of the brush with ease, which, given the density of the brush, is like, yeah, you're not confident that they're not going to be able to climb up there. Now, it
Oh,
probably will be more
I'm
obvious
fairly,
if they try, but
yeah. I'm fairly sure that but I want to make the attempt to climb, not necessarily because I think that I will be able to avoid them, but I want to make it as difficult as possible for them to know exactly where I've decided to actually stay. And by climbing a tree and then climbing back down, well, a couple of times, if that is something that I manage to do, it might confuse them a little bit about whether I'm where I'm actually staying.
You read my ability, Kaoli. That one I'm going to use to help us when you find a place you want to set up camp.
I was wondering who posted that. That's a nice little feature that they got now, but they need to tag who sent it. But
Jim's
yeah.
Jim's tent gives us a level of what's that?
Privacy and shit.
when I create
attitude
it.
and, hey,
when-
what's up, guy?
When I create it, if you're not inside, you can't get inside. So if I just create it, you guys can all start out inside, then you guys can go party, you come back in, nobody can get inside, nobody else can.
That's what I was going to say. I thought it had some of that Harry Potter-ness
This-
where people
This
really
is a compliment to that, though. This is a compliment to that because your hut, your magic tent gives us a place to retreat to, but its stealth capabilities are not as good as this. This would cover your. This would, I think. Is your hut 20-foot radius?
I believe so.
I'd have to look. For some
I
reason I
wanna-
thought it was
I
10,
wanna-
but
thought it was.
It
10
is tight
too.
when
Well,
we're in there.
they seem
Yeah.
to be about equivalent. I think it's also a 30-foot radius, if I remember right, and it also pretty
No,
much the caster can't
the
leave.
tiny hut is tiny. It's not 30 foot. It's either 10 or 20.
Yeah, I was going to say 20. I think it's 10 because we talked about if we could fit camels inside it so they didn't get stolen way in the beginning. And I don't think we could.
And determined that even if it allowed large creatures, it wouldn't. They just wouldn't physically fit.
Well, a 20-foot radius is a 40-foot diameter tent. That's huge. My barn is
much bigger
25
than.
feet, and I could
Yeah.
fit.
Referred to as a tiny hut, and yes, it's a 10-foot radius hemisphere.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, that's what I
the
thought.
hut gives us. So this would hide most of our campsite, a 30-foot radius sphere.
Okay.
That would hide most of our campsite. So this ability and the tiny hut spell complement each other.
Sweet.
the wizard
But
is
yeah.
most interested in research
So-
and security, and so whatever you can do for a stealth is awesome. But the wizard
it
can set
gives
up the hut.
This
so.
also gives us bonuses to both stealth and perception, and blocks light. If we decide to have our own campfire, or if somebody has a candle because they're trying to study, this keeps it out, or this keeps the light from being seen.
Cool.
So this is an awesome complement to that. So yeah. I'm probably going to attempt to climb one or more trees, but whether or not I succeed, I'm going to camp on the ground with the rest of my party, and take advantage of the tiny hut and the shadow sphere.
And I can set it up. Because I'm just interested in studying, so I can set it up, and you guys all start out inside. Then you go off and party and do whatever you want. So
yeah. So I think that's what I'm going to do. But I do want to at least attempt to climb one or more trees, just because I'm pretty sure that the guilders will know that I have done so. And, the more confusion I can create about where we are, the better. And I'm not necessarily going to be attempting to climb the trees near where I finally decide we should set up camp either.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Where do you want to do so? Which direction are you going to head to look for a spot?
I'm not sure which direction I want to head, but I will be attempting to climb trees along the route, probably taking some extra detours just because. Laying some false trail if I can.
Whoa.
But I'm happy to go in a direction that the group finds agreeable.
I'm sorry,
As
fill me
long
back
as
in.
it-
I was distracted.
Have you seen the fish in the pond? I've got my pond, so.
The last thing I was paying attention to was you sorting out the tent with the distraction. The tent and the cover
Yeah, we're
combination.
going to
We
use
haven't done
both.
much since then. They're just deciding which direction to go from here. Where
So
you
we've
wanna set it
eaten.
up.
I guess we could ask Paunus. Cheese. I definitely don't like Trifacus or Sardoc.
I don't feel comfortable asking them where we should camp, except to avoid that area.
Oh, I was thinking more of like, what time is it? What time is it? Daytime? Can we still do some exploring? Asking them what the lay of the land looks like, and then we can find our own, I guess.
Okay, so the timestamp we have is 5:30 a.m., which means it's not yet dawn, but it probably will be
It's getting
soonish.
lighter.
And I say we get our own lay of the land. Fuck those guys.
Yeah, Kaylee would be perfectly happy to just pick a direction and go
Because
exploring.
they told us they said they'd show us where the temple was, but we can just explore it on our own because they think we're stuck here. So
Right.
we can maintain that illusion and just go check stuff out. Definitely think we should have guard watches, given that we're sleeping during the daytime. Still.
Yeah, absolutely. But finding ourselves a nice shadowy spot to set up camp would also help, because
For sure.
if the spot we pick is already shadowy and we can guess that it's going to be relatively shadowy even in full daylight, then our shadow sphere that helps camouflage us is not going to seem as out of place.
For sure.
All right, so which direction shall we be heading? And remember, each one of these squares or hexes are 200 feet across. Once, going twice.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I missed the
What did you
I
say?
question.
didn't hear what you said.
Which direction are we heading? Or are we going to explore?
I guess, Keith, I just can't envision. Is there do you have a map or anything that we can look at that kind of gives us an idea of what things have looked like?
You know
I mean,
how
there's a
to
map
us?
up
Oh, there's jungle.
on
Okay,
screen.
I got jungle.
Yeah, the map where our tokens are is.
Yeah, we do have a
I'm
map for this.
thinking
North. What do you say we just start venturing? What's northeast? We got, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different lanes we could take.
so. You want that one?
Yeah. Let's just pick one and start
Okay.
looking.
All right, so I guess everyone's going to take a swim. We're going to try to find a shallow point along one of the
So
streams.
Yeah, I was
we are
actually
not camping
thinking-
yet. We're exploring. Is that right?
But we have to find
I
a
was
spot to
thinking
camp
that
where
way.
we
Oh, okay.
feel
Very good.
I was thinking that way so that we can go around. If northeast and that direction is where you're interested in heading for exploration purposes, I was thinking we camp more along that trajectory
Okay.
and worry about crossing the river after we
Okay.
rest.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so sorry, Alex, I missed you. All right, so bringing you all around to the other side over here. And that means we get to expose a little bit more. Now the tree line is pretty dense. I don't see more than 2, maybe 3 feet into the brush along the tree line, so it's definitely pretty thick. But obviously the clearing areas, they're lush. They're medium-sized grasses. There's some trails from people walking back and forth. You had spider legs, so you're presuming that there are large spiders around, but you haven't seen any other kind of real fauna in this place so far. So you're on the lookout, but haven't quite noticed anything yet. Okay. And shall I presume that we're continuing up that direction? I should have tokens unlocked.
Yeah.
No, there we go. Okay, tokens are unlocked, so you guys should be able to move on your own now. Yeah, there you go.
So as soon as we started like leaving or whatever, if I was still inebriated in any way, I'd just use 5 points of my lay on hands to cure the poison. Bam. And I'm sober again. Maybe a little headache.
And just as a refresher, we'll go ahead and throw the description of the jungle up there so you can be reminded of what it looks like, what's available on the sides and whatnot. So we'll continue moving further up.
Okay.
And-
Keith, I am having difficulty hearing you.
Okay.
Ah, that's better.
It's amazing how much an inch or two can make a difference on this mic. I really got to look at getting a better mic system. All right, so as Varric makes his way north, looks like there's a clearing, probably about another 600 to 800 feet ahead. Let's see, calendar.
Now inform the party.
Anyone else? Isram, you and Kayla are together, right? You're still riding around in her pocket. Miz?
I'm sorry, Keith. What did you say again?
I was asking Miz if he's riding around in Kaylee's pocket.
Oh, gotcha.
All right. So here's where something comes into view. In the clearing ahead, you see an interesting sight. Majestic twin doors, shining silver, tower 100 feet to an archway. They are 30 feet wide and have no markings, handles, or hinges. From 10-foot wide openings on either side of the doors, 75-foot waterfalls cascade down into pools from which flow the two rivers. In front of the doors, there is a platform made of strange, polished, blue-gray stone. A small altar stands on the platform, 50 feet in front of the doors. It has 3 oddly shaped holes carved into the side facing the doors, which you wouldn't notice until after you got around to that side. So kind of ignore that for the moment. But
I'd like to do a perception check to see if we're being followed.
go ahead and roll.
Oh, wait, hold on. I'll do that again. Well, unless you want to just take that one.
The one you rolled? No, go ahead. Fortunately, you said it before it landed. Otherwise, I'd say nope.
No, you're stuck.
Not much better.
Okay.
And Alex, you want to do a instinctive perception roll? Alex, you there?
Yeah, it helps to remember when I mute myself.
Yes, it does.
But my food is yummy, so.
You've been paying close attention since you left the camp, and you're feeling pretty confident that there's no one that is following you. The only motion that you're picking up is the swaying of the foliage in the gentle breeze, which you still haven't figured out how that's happening. It's not a constant breeze. It definitely feels very natural. It's never too strong. It occasionally stays calm for a bit, and then you'll get a nice little, oh, wow, that was nice.
Okay. Yeah. But I'm also fairly certain that they know exactly which direction we headed and know exactly what we were going to find.
Yes, you are correct.
Okay. So Carol is still interested in setting up camp because, I mean, we have been up long enough that we should probably consider
Sleep.
resting. But again, she's also the only one of us that doesn't
Stop.
actually need to replenish magical abilities. And so her concern for herself is simply physical exhaustion, whereas her concern for
I
her
said
companions
stop.
is
Yeah, me too, bro.
her concern for her companions
guys.
also includes their ability to perform magic. But mostly it's time to get some rest. So Haley is quite interested in what we found here, but is also quite interested in finding someplace not near here to make camp.
Yeah, agreed. Whatever location you find acceptable as the sneaker.
I would say that would make sense. Wherever she finds that makes sense to be the most inconspicuous.
But we will definitely be coming back to this spot after we rest, because this is very clearly where we are expected to be if we want to attempt to proceed further into this into this place.
It also helps us out if we're at off hours with everyone else on the island. If we're up when they're
Yep.
asleep, we can possibly proceed with them being less alert.
Good point.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a really good point.
So she's not certain of the tracking skills of the guilders, but she's fairly certain that the adventurers has some passing ability to notice trails. And once we decide to actually head into the foliage to find a campsite, we will be attempting to take steps to disguise exactly which entry into the underbrush is the one that we actually take. She's getting paranoid. She does not like these other adventurers.
The
Rightly
wizard,
so.
the wizard doesn't pay that much attention to this nonsense about stealth, but is definitely interested in resting before we try and proceed.
Yeah, well, she's used to the wizard not paying much attention to stealth, and actually she's perfectly happy to use to her advantage the fact that none of the others generally care that much about stealth and are happy to leave nice, big, obvious trails.
Yes.
She takes advantage of that to disguise which way we actually end up going. As part of knowing how to not leave a trail is knowing what leaves a really big trail.
So we're camping then.
So where are we camping? Are we changing direction and going like heading back towards the arrival platform? Are we going east or west?
I think we were saying that we were trusting you and your decision there. You would be the one to know best where the most
if you leave the
inconspicuous
decision
camping zone.
entirely, if you leave the decision entirely up to me, I'm probably going to have us camp closer to the arrival platform. If anybody objects, then I will happily take a different direction. And I'm as a player, I am this close to just rolling a d12 and picking a direction based on the results of the roll.
Okay.
Because as a player, I have no sense of where would be a good place based on the information that I have, and so I'm just like kind of picking things at random.
Fine with that.
But stay camping here near the next step is probably not great because Kaylee suspects that the other adventuring party is probably camping close enough to keep an eye on it. But we have information they don't, and we do not want to be that close to the door while we are sleeping.
Well, I'll tell you, as a player and a player character, I don't care. I can be reactive to whatever gets thrown at us as far as story goes. If something happens to our tent, we react accordingly. So
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
say pick a spot, let her rip, Tater Chip.
All right. So why don't we attempt to camp right there?
Sounds good to me.
Yep. Looks good. Give it a rip.
Okay, 1 second.
Redreth is going to once we get to where we're going and we get the dome set up, he is going to focus on studying and trying to learn the scroll, raise dead.
Nice.
Since I have that in my inventory. Actually, I don't think I can learn it. It says Bard, Cleric, Life Domain, and Paladin. So never mind. You won't focus on that one. I should give that to our Paladin. I actually have two of them. Two of them, yeah.
Maddie says, sounds good to me.
Yep. I'll raise some dead.
Right. I'll drop them in the party
Don't
sheet.
forget, you also do have a cleric with you.
That's true.
That is true.
Fekish is a cleric.
Well, there happens to be 2 of the scrolls, so I'll give 1 to each of you.
Nice.
I'll stick them in the parcel items. I think I can move them to there.
All right, so we're heading down to where you got the blue arrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there.
I
So
think
they're
so.
both in the party inventory now. So
Solid.
Oh, and Fantasy Grounds did not like that.
worked for me.
Oh, it worked. I just got a console error.
Well, when I moved the tokens?
Somebody did something and the Fantasy Grounds console popped up with an error.
Interesting.
Should I just close my character
I don't
sheet?
see it on either of my sides. But you said it just as I was moving tokens around, so I wonder how much that was related to it.
I don't know, but it had to do with inventory because it was complaining that it couldn't create the attunement node for an item.
Interesting.
Weird.
All
I
right.
hate when I get notes.
So as you come up to the patch of jungle that you've indicated, you notice thick, wet jungle blocks the way. Huge trees with large roots darken the area and provide cover. Vines drape from the branches overhead and creep over the spongy moss that covers the ground. Tall plants grow to man height, their thorny stems an effective barrier.
So you're saying we can't stay there?
No, I'm not saying that. Now, Kaylee, Mizram, Redress, no problem. You guys are agile enough and able to navigate the underbrush, and it's not really a problem. Unfortunately for Fekish and the two Goliaths, though.
Wait,
trying to get
hold on. Did you say Miz passed a dexterity check? I just want to be clear.
It actually has nothing to do with his dexterity.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
It
as far
probably
as
has a lot to
Fekish,
do with the
General size.
bonus of being in my pocket.
that could have something to do with it too. Absolutely. But it is obvious that Fekish and the two Goliaths are not having as good of a time. They're getting nicked. They're getting scratched along their hands, their faces. The thorns are definitely not kind to them. And they are moving much slower through the brush. I would say probably at about 1/4 speed.
Mm-hmm.
So they can get through it, but they're taking some abuse doing so.
And practically forging a path along their way, likely. Not so much for stealth there, Alex.
Hey, she has a plan here. She has a plan here.
All right. I'm just saying, if anybody decides to follow, I'm leaving a pretty good path.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Won't matter because they can't get in.
True.
All right. So I guess we're going to slowly make you guys. Oh, duh. I forgot it won't allow me to move you guys into an exposed area. That could be an issue. As I already pointed out, it's pretty dense in here, so.
I mean, you can, but it's annoying. You have to hold down control, or at least that's what it was last time I tried.
Yeah. Well, still, there's no point in putting you in an area where you guys can't see what's going on. I think I got you all in there.
The ball of yarn on the mouse pad does not allow me to zoom in.
Missing one of the Goliaths. Where did he go?
Oh, I can make that go away because there's somebody under one of the controls. There we go.
Okay. So you're all hanging out in the brush. You can barely see each other. Goliaths are, I guess you're tolerant of scratches, but you can definitely see red slash marks all over their body at this point. Fekish is kind of the same way. His scales are kind of protecting him, but a few of them have been lifted up, and he's kind of irritated about it. But you guys are successfully, or you're confident that you are well covered by the brush. Whether or not anyone saw you go into the brush is another matter. It was pretty obvious, but you can be pretty sure. Well, maybe not pretty sure, but you get the sense that most everyone is either in their tent, their huts passed out, or on the table passed out. And so, Ms. and Redrith, you guys both doing your spheres?
Yeah. Once Kaoli gives us the thumbs up on happy with the spot, then yeah,
Yep.
I will cast the spell.
Sounds good.
Well-
And I do mine too.
All right. So you set up your protective spheres. Now, sound can pass into these things, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I know you guys can see beyond the barrier when you're inside. So is there going to be a watch? And what's your watch order? Standard? Same one that we have on the sheet.
We have a standard wash order.
According to the party sheet. Redreth, Kaoli, Fekish, Haig, Mizram, Varric.
Yeah, I keep watch when Kaoli keep watch because obviously wherever her pocket goes, I go.
I think I think we
Well, did
no. I think
do we need a watch? I mean, is this thing impenetrable or what's the deal?
I think what we do is I think what we usually do is actually, because Haig is listed as first, Mizram is fourth, and Varric is fifth.
Okay, so we're missing second and third watch and sixth.
And Redress, Kaoli, and Fekish have zeros, which means nobody's actually typed in a number for them.
Putting you on 4 with Mizram.
Okay.
And we'll put Fekish
Redreth only needs 4 hours of sleep, anyways.
third.
As
So
does Kaoli.
yeah, so he'll just rest, and he's just going to be reading his scrolls and studying a paper that he had received from a colleague a while ago. So has a question he's trying to solve. So
All right, so you know what we're going to do then? Unless there are any objections, so I'm putting you on first watch. And we're going to put both Haig and Varric on second watch. Fekish on third, and Mizram and Kaoli on fourth.
I dig it.
That works.
Mm-hmm.
And again, whenever Kaoli's done sleeping, she will be, her
You'll be
usual.
up and-
She'll be her usual alert self. So
Yeah, so you'll probably, since both of you only Mizram needs half sleep too. So technically, you, Fekish, and all three of you, Fekish, Mizram, and Kaoli, will be up for third and fourth watch. All right, so you guys settle down for the night. You get yourselves all comfortable. Food is not necessary. You're definitely satiated in that regard. You feel like your defenses are up. You get up your bedrolls. We can probably have a rather humorous exposition of the Goliaths trying to figure out a way to lie down a bedroll amongst all the brush without rolling into it all the time. You're probably setting up probably like ripping out a bunch of branches and vines and trying to pull
Definitely.
back the brush and stuff. And you lie down, and then one branch comes slashing back at one or two you, and you're like, God damn it, rolling over. And I don't know, you brothers are probably lying with head to foot, foot to head, trying to form a circle around each other. And it just, I'm sure it's very, very amusing. But after a tumultuous, somewhat attempt to get everything comfortable, Varric and Haig are probably just like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to wait until later. I'm not going to try to get any sleep right now. So the two brothers in Redreth hang out, and they're chit-chatting for a bit. So, Jim, you're going to lie down right after your watch, right?
yeah, that makes sense. Get some sleep right in the middle of the night.
Well, not technically night. It's going to be more like about 8 o'clock in the morning.
That's fine.
So, but you get to control your
It
environment.
is
so you can
dimly
keep...
lit within the dome, so it's night as far as I'm concerned. So
Well, at the moment, yeah, but you can also control the amount of light coming into your
correct.
hut, right?
Yep.
So, yeah,
Yep.
All right. So shortly after Redrith goes to retire and get himself comfortable amongst the brush, Eric and Haig are just kind of sitting there. You're kind of rubbing at your skin and whatnot. It's irritating and annoying, but it's not really painful. It's definitely not marking down any of your health. But yeah, you're not very crazy about being inside this dense brush. It's definitely way too limiting. But at some point, Varric, you're chit-chatting with your brother, and then you hear something. And you put up a finger asking him to be quiet, or indicating that, hold on a second. And you listen a little closer. And as you do, you hear what sound like muffled voices and perhaps the sound of wood tools coming from somewhere to the southwest.
Hmm.
They don't seem to be moving any closer or further away, but it does sound like someone giving orders at a work site. Like you hear muttering, and every now and then you hear something that sounds like a barked command.
Okay.
Not necessarily rude, but just in charge.
Hmm. I will convey that to my brother and Redrick.
And hey, no matter how much you try, you're just not picking up on it.
I'm not picking up on
Any of the
what
sounds.
he's trying to
sound.
say. Okay.
You're like, well, I trust you, brother, but I don't hear anything. Now,
So
unless
that so you wake Redrith back up.
Oh, I thought you were awake. My bad. My bad.
I was
No,
No,
just
it's-
laying down to go to sleep.
Oh,
Yeah,
So-
yeah,
I'd
I'd
let
say
you lay
it's
down.
probably about 20 minutes after he goes to retire.
So would you
No,
wake
I'd
him
let
up
him
or
sleep.
not worry about
No, I'd let him
it? Okay.
sleep.
All right.
If it doesn't seem like, does it seem like if the sound is getting closer, or just on my peripheral, like, senses?
No, it doesn't sound like it's getting closer at all. As you listen in over the next, during your watch, you occasionally hear those sounds again, wood tools, different orders being barked. You can't quite tell how many, but you'd say you've heard at least 3 or 4, maybe 5 different voices across the time. It just basically sounds like a crew doing some kind of work. Exactly what, you don't know. It sounds kind of like hammering. You wouldn't say chopping because you haven't heard like any trees coming down or anything else like that.
Okay.
And for the most part, it's just an occasional sound. Your brother never picks up on it. However, when the elves wake up and come to relieve you, Kaoli and Mizram do pick up on the sounds when you point it out to them. And they're like, oh, yeah, I hear that. And so, Kaoli, Mizram, it's up to you to decide whether or not it's worth investigating now, or as you've confirmed, it's been about the same distance away since you guys first set camp. So it seems reasonable to you that it can wait until later, but if you want to act now, that is your choice.
I will look at Kaoli and then look at where the noise comes from and look back at her. Go, I to indicate, does she want to go?
Feckish is up and technically on watch at this point, right?
Say that again?
Feckish is on watch
Yes.
at this point?
Yep.
Okay. If Feckish is on watch here, then yeah, Kaoli will respond to Mizram's silent request to do we want to investigate with a shrug, and she will creep out and with the ferret in her pocket or on her shoulder or wherever, and sneak off to investigate.
All right, so first thing you notice is you head on off. Please go ahead. Mizram, you're in pocket, so Kaylee, please give me a stealth check. In tower, of course.
Stealth checks always go in the tower.
And so what you discover is you head a little further in this direction. is that the stream does cut through the forest at this point. What do you two want? What do you want to do? You're going to cross the stream?
How crossable does it seem right here?
It's pretty crossable. It's probably not more than 9 inches to a foot deep. There's a good flow there, but not enough to knock you off your feet. Though I would say Mizram would have a hard time in ferret form swimming against the current. Who did we lose? Is that Jim? Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. So if he's, in my pocket or on my shoulder, I just have to not drop him in the river.
Yeah, that'd probably be a good call.
Okay. And about how wide is it here?
Yeah, it's definitely not to scale, but I would say, let's see. Oh, it doesn't really say. I'd say it's probably not more than about 20 to 30 feet across.
Okay. So too far for an easy jump. So
yeah, definitely
we're probably gonna get wet. So we're gonna get wet.
Now that being said, though, you might be able to find a place where there are a couple of rocks skipping across the stream. You know what? Let's see. Depending on how long you're willing to look. Yeah, you can probably find a spot where there's a couple of stones that you can just hop across. Now, they are wet. They might be a little slippery, so you're not guaranteed to stick the landing. But
Can't you just float across?
Oh, you're right.
Ding, 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 ding.
We don't have to get wet.
I'm thinking that, like, I'm like looking up the scene and going,
I'd completely forgotten. I'd completely forgotten. Yeah. So yeah, river's not much of an impediment to me.
All right. So what are you're putting on your ring?
Well, yeah, I'm
or
making
is it
use
always
of it.
on and you just have to think about activating it?
It's always on. I just have to remember to activate it. I honestly, as a player, I'd forgotten about it.
It happens. It definitely happens. Though I would suspect Kaylee probably would not be as likely to forget about it. It has not been that long since she last used it.
She likes the ability to not have to touch the ground more than once every 10 minutes.
That could be advantageous.
She likes
for
this
sure.
ability.
However,
it makes it so much easier to disguise her trail.
However, unfortunately and regrettably, Kaylee quickly gets discouraged.
Ooh.
The ring does not seem to be working, or at least it's not obeying your commands of flight at the moment.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm gonna look at Mizram like, I guess we have to get wet, and then I'm gonna attempt to cross with a minimal amount of getting wet. Because
give me an acrobatics check, please.
all I'm going to say, you're going to feel shaking in your pocket.
At least you're being a ferret and not a cat. They like water. Oh, very nice.
Not terrible. Not terrible at all.
No, not at all. So, it wasn't a flourish of finesse, but you managed to cross successfully. You stay dry, and you guys get yourselves across the river. Let's see. And
definitely making note of the fact that that having difficulty flying at the moment.
All right, and so you two make it across the river, and sure enough, you are hearing the sounds seem to be getting louder. There does seem to be a group of people I use that term very, very generically because you have no idea what they are quite yet, but they do seem to be social, organized, have a spoken language. There's not too much else that you can really detect from here, but those sounds of that character are definitely coming from, you'd say, maybe 600 to 800 feet to the southwest, maybe 1,000. And with that, oh, actually, yeah, I need to take our mid-game break if we're all okay with that.
That works for me. I
Yeah,
think
that's fine.
I think that works.
Yeah.
But I would like to attempt to sneak up on this group, and I would like to roll the dice now, and then you can come back and tell us the results after the break.
Well, I can give you something to think about. So what we're gonna do is, let me unmask this for the moment. We're gonna follow the sounds down. You discover this much of the forest as you're going, and when you get to the edge, you're going to see this.
Ooh, interesting.
And obviously, I shall give you the description.
Bum, bum, bum.
Okay. Do you want a stealth roll to see how obvious we are as we approach?
Yes, please go ahead and do so, and then I will read you the description, and then we'll take our break.
Awesomenesses.
Okay. Ms., you're kind of okay because you're in pocket at the moment,
Awesome.
so that definitely helps. That actually would fully justify the roll you just made. All right. So near the center of a large clearing stands a fort, roughly 50 feet square. Its log walls are 10 feet tall and sharpened on the top. There is only one door. Smoke can be seen rising out of the compound inside the walls. The underbrush has all been carefully cleared away outside the walls for about 50 feet. And we'll let you consider that as we take a break. And I'll go ahead and pause the recording. And we'll meet back here at quarter to the hour. All right, we are back from our break now. And we find Kaylee with Mizram in her pocket looking out over a clearing in the jungle where they have found a fort. Looks like a pretty well built fort. And one additional point of interest is that it does seem to be well guarded too. There is a lookout sentry on each of the four corners of the fort looking outwards. None of them seem to be aware of your presence, though, Kaylee, thankfully. And
Okay.
in the clearing just to the northwest of the fort, towards the entry to the clearing, you can see a group of individuals. One
Mhm.
is dressed in very nice chainmail armor, and he's basically running a group of maybe about a half dozen to a dozen, you would presume by their armor, lesser stature individuals through training drills.
Okay.
And they're using wooden staffs, which explains the sounds that you've been hearing.
Okay. So, do any of these figures look at all familiar? Do they look like they're mostly guilders? Do they look like there's something else? What about the leaders? Do they seem to be, the adventurers we just met last night? Or are they completely unfamiliar?
Well, this is the man that's leading them.
Okay. So, not someone we met last night.
No, does not look familiar at all.
Interesting.
So what would you like to do? You're going to approach them on your own, do some additional reconnaissance, or head back to camp and report what you found?
Does this, I don't recall if I got an answer to the first half of the question. The beings that he's training and the lookouts, and do they seem, what kind of creatures do they seem to be? Do they look like they're Yilders or have otherwise been here for generations? Do they look
Well, kind of hard to tell from this perspective of where you think that they've been, or how long? Sorry, of how long that they've been here. They are humans.
Okay.
They do seem to have a lot of very similar traits. They're all pretty much blonde haired, or I should say dusky haired. Roughly about the same height, a little bit of variation. So you could perhaps infer that, but I certainly wouldn't say it's conclusive.
Okay.
They
Then
definitely are more well ordered, but presuming you're spending a little time there watching them, it seems apparent to you that the one in charge is having to issue or is only issuing very, very simple orders and commands.
okay. So the one giving the commands, does he seem like he could have arrived, relatively recently, just like the three that we met last night?
He could have, but there's also no reason why he may not have.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
this fort does seem like it's been here a while. It hasn't been built overnight, and it certainly is in a lot better condition than the huts that you left over by the other clearing.
Okay. So this could simply be a different. Okay. That's all right. I think I'm going to observe for a little while, and then if Mizram seems in agreement, head back to camp.
Okay.
You're good with that, Miz?
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
All right. So, the lookouts, as I said, there's 4 of them around the fort. They're not really doing too much other than being attentive. They don't seem to notice you in the brush. You seem to have found a good coverage point for now. So most of what there is to observe is basically in the training drills that are going on in the clearing. And you can hear some of the words here and there, especially the ones that the leader utters, and they are in the common tongue, so you recognize them. And for the most part, from what you can hear, he seems like he's a good leader. He doesn't seem to get angry or chastise them when they make mistakes. He at different times he takes 1 or 2 of them aside to give them a more direct lesson about something. He participates in the combat drills. And you can tell that he's got a certain level of skill that he's withholding against his charges. So
Okay.
you generally get the feel that this is someone that is looking out for the best interests of the people that he's responsible for.
Okay.
There certainly isn't. I mean, he's definitely in charge, but it's not an authoritarian or domineering authority.
Okay.
But at the same time, it definitely does have a definite hint of military orderliness.
Okay. All right. So after observing for a little bit, we will head back to camp.
Ms., anything you would like to do or cast before you head back?
No, everything sounds all right. I mean, obviously we'll have to talk to the rest of the group if we want to approach them or if we just want to move on with the main quest and just push forward. But I guess we'll have to put that forward to the rest of the group when we get back to camp.
Oh,
Yeah, all good.
Slight little diversion here. No, not really related at the moment, though probably will be in the not too distant future. As I mentioned to Alex earlier, I finally got her inventory filled up with all 5 star gems, but it just occurred to me that none of you have actually seen what the last star gem looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and share that now.
Nice.
And keep in mind that thing is fist size. So that is
Batter up.
That is the star of Melos Pilar.
Nice. Pretty sparkles.
Yep, and you can see it. It's somewhat distinctive compared to the other 4.
Mm-hmm.
The other 4, I mean, all of them are brilliant, amazing, stunning gems, without a doubt. They're all fist size. They're flawlessly cut. But the other 4 are all either smooth or cut in conventional shapes. This one is definitely very unique in its shape and presentation. So, like I said, I just wanted to kind of bring that up because it does add some background to everything that's kind of coalescing around you at the moment.
Okay.
All right, so the 2 of you are heading back to camp.
Yep.
And let's see at this point. All right, so Fekish is still up. He has not detected anything, so he has nothing to report. Redreth is probably still towards the very end of his 4-hour rest period, but the Goliaths are still down and out for the count at the moment, especially Varric.
Okay. So then, well, we will definitely let Fekish know what we've discovered, and that it is something that we need to discuss when everybody's up, and then
Kaylee, do me another favor
Yes.
and do another stealth check for your departure from the area.
hopefully this goes well.
What role did you ask for? Sorry, Keith.
Just for her, you're in her pocket. You're okay.
Okay, awesome.
Unless you like sneeze or something.
Well, I mean, if I roll a 1, then you should probably roll to see if he's the cause of us being noticed.
Yeah, we could do that, but I suffice it to say, at the moment, there's no need to.
Okay, that's good.
At the moment.
That's good.
Yep, good to hear.
All right. So presumably you report your findings back to Fekish, or you're just going to wait until everyone gets up?
I'm gonna report to Fekish, and I just let him know that we've not gonna go into a whole lot of detail, but mostly just that we don't need to worry about the noises right now. And then I will wait for everyone to give a more complete report.
Yeah, for the most part, I'd say it's safe to say they don't seem to be aware of your presence.
Okay.
Now, that being said, however, I love that I can do that. All right. So, Kaoli,
Yes.
it does occur to you, or as you start connecting the dots. So, you're like, okay, yeah, there's no activity. They don't seem to be aware of us. No one looked in our direction when we were, looking out there. There was no sign that they responded to anything that they didn't expect. And you believe that you left the area quietly. So you're thinking to yourself, yeah, we got out of there. They didn't think or notice anyone was there. But then it occurs to you, but they should know that there are newcomers in the area because that gong sounded off when you all joined the area. And this area seems pretty damn close to the dais area where you guys landed. So, though they didn't react or respond to your presence in the bush, it does seem unlikely that they're unaware that there are newcomers to the garden.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. They should know that we're here, just not necessarily that they were being watched.
And then that does kind of raise the question to yourself, which you don't have an answer to, but why haven't they, or have they and we just didn't notice them coming to investigate?
Yep.
So, thoughts to ponder on. So we make it the rest of the night, or the sleep period, which brings us to about that time in the afternoon. And you're all getting up. The Goliath brothers are more than happy to pack up their bedrolls. They haven't been able to get comfortable all night. Every time they turn or twist or move, they wind up getting jabbed by another bramble. So they're just like, yeah, I don't think we're going to sleep in the brush tonight. Unless we really, really have to. Fekish seems to be a lot more tolerant of it, or just not showing his annoyance and frustration. But again, I point out that Mizram, Kaoli, and Redreth just didn't seem to have any issue finding a spot to get yourselves comfortable within the brush. So what shall we do, or what is your next course of action after getting your camp packed up? Going once, going twice.
I couldn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
I was just, well, you guys have woken up now. Actually, Kaoli, you should probably fill in the whole crew now.
Yes, that's as soon as everyone gets up and as we're packing up, I will give my report and let them know that there's this other group at a fort and let them know exactly what I saw. And yeah.
So, and Matt, I was pointing out that you and your brother are definitely irritated and had a hard time getting a decent night's rest inside all of the brambles. And you certainly didn't have much room to move around while you were camping. You're like hunched down on your thighs or on your knees, and so your thighs are all kind of cramped up and stuff, and you're scratched up. You're probably a little bit annoyed at best. So, not one of your better mornings. But at least you don't feel hungry. You definitely still feel. I mean, you could eat breakfast, but you don't feel empty. You ate well the night before.
Right.
So,
Maybe we go check
Barrett,
out this. But
I was going to say, do you guys want to do anything about the additional individuals that Ms. and Kaoli found?
Yeah, why didn't anybody tell us about that? That's a curious thing.
Kaylee, shouldn't your
So
response be, that's what I'm doing now?
No. I mean, like
Kale
the
only
other
just kind of
people.
looks at you like you actually expect me to know the answer?
But no, I'm just saying rhetorically, like, why didn't anybody else tell us that there was this pseudo army creating a camp like that? You know
Are
what I
you
mean?
sure
Nobody
that they
else in
are
the
you
village.
sure that they didn't?
Nope. I don't really remember last night.
Very true. Touche,
I mean,
sir. Touche.
yeah. Let's go check it out. What's the worst that can happen?
I don't know, man. The
Crack
people
some
around here are
skulls.
goofy.
Yeah, Kale only raises an eyebrow at your "what's the worst that can happen" line, because she's just like, that's not a
Yeah.
question you want to be asking.
Famous last words.
I'm not getting cozy fuzzies from anybody we've talked to yet.
Yeah, she's
All right.
like, that's not a question you want to be asking, dude.
All right, Alex, my dice really seem to like you today. That's like the third 20 that you've rolling on insight. So as Varric, you was it Varric? No, hey, you were asking about why didn't anyone tell us, right?
Nope,
No,
very
that's
was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as that gets brought up, Kale is like, well, I wonder if maybe those are the mad dogs that the guilders were talking about. You guys might remember that term from the conversation.
I
last
do
session.
remember that term. Yeah. Okay. I remember the guilders didn't, if I remember right, I don't think the guilders spoke very kindly of the Mad Doggers.
No,
Oh,
they didn't.
actually, my apologies. Varric also had that insight as well.
Okay.
So when Kaylee brings that up, Varric's like, yeah, I was just thinking that too. Who are those mad dogs they were talking about?
Huh. Yeah, so I say we say F them all and just do our thing without trying to associate.
Does Kaylee mention that her ring didn't work? Because that might be important to a magician.
Excellent point.
And I honestly, I think possibly not, because it was just an
Yeah,
incidental thing going on. So I don't know, but it's just
actually,
that
I
could have great effects on what we do. Or
I
what
do
we're
have
able to
I do
do.
have a question, Keith.
Go ahead.
Was it just when I was trying to cross the river that it wouldn't respond, or has it not responded since we got here?
Have you tried to use it since you got here?
Probably. It has become my habit to use it almost constantly.
Well, we're going to have to say that you have not consciously tried to use it since you got here. And that's the first time that you tried to and discovered that it was not responding.
Okay.
And one
Okay.
other thing, Ms. There, Ms.
Yes.
All right, so something comes to your mind while they're discussing the possibility that those are the mad dogs. And it may or may not be relevant, but since you and Bailey were the only ones that actually saw the people in the clearing and the way they were dressed, their mannerisms, their conduct, which probably isn't relayed very well in a reconnaissance report. It just occurs to you that, well, they could be mad dogs, but to your impression, was there anything about what you saw that suggested they were either dog-like or mad?
Most certainly not.
So that occurs to you. So I guess the question that is probably in your mind is, I wonder if those are the mad dogs. I wonder why the guilders call them that.
Dan, it sounds like your ride's there.
Yeah.
I mean, what Mizram is getting at the moment with the whole scenario is it seemed like the whole place is like a pot getting ready to boil over because it seemed like they're all waiting for the place to be open and jump on opportunity to get inside. That's what it seemed like. And by seeing the army training in secret, it just feel like everybody getting ready to get their chance to go in there. So it seemed like everybody knows about the prophecy. Because they all know that someone going to be turning up these star gems. That's what it all looks like at the moment. I'm not sure if anyone else getting that feeling.
For sure.
Well, now that you
As a
mention it,
player, yes.
yeah.
I would say, based on the combined insights that several of you just made, that seems to be a very astute observation or hypothesis. I would even go so far as to say, but perhaps not a conclusion.
Yeah, Mitchell just getting anxious in Kaoli's pocket, like, oh, I want to get this over and done with and go back home.
Well, you guys certainly don't like the prospect of potentially being stuck here, and though you have some reassurance that supposedly the gems are your key out of here, there's a certain part of each of you that's beginning to gnaw at you that says, well, what if that was a lie, or if the gems don't really get us out of here and we are going to be stuck here? Not everything you've been told so far has been 100% truthful.
Well, we already know that some people at the dinner table who invited us to eat the other day is shifty because they constantly try to glean information from us, and then plus, we know they've been feeding us some lies, and then also our friends have been pickpocket. I'm not sure if they noticed yet.
Best you can tell is that Haig and Fekish are kind of, neither of you have been keeping close count of your coins, but you feel like you're missing some coins. But as far as you can tell, nothing else is missing from any of you.
They pickpocket the wizard, they get a fireball.
I'm just
Well,
waiting
you
for somebody
made
to make it
clear early
evident.
on, Jim, that Redreth was was looking out for that kind of behavior.
Yeah, and I'm just waiting for somebody to make it evident because I might have to curb stomp some Gilder Ace.
Well, they were clearly able to pick up that Kaoli is very alert, and it would be extremely difficult to get anything without her noticing.
Well, all I'm going to say is they try to go through your pocket, they're going to find a very angry weasel
they might get
attached to
some
one of their
teeth.
fingers. Yeah.
They might get some teeth in their fingers.
Kaoli,
Yes.
as you guys are talking and debating next course of action, you hear something enter the particular patch of brush that you're in
Mm-hmm.
from the northeast corner.
Okay. I am definitely going to hush the group and let them know that we have company, probably without actually saying very much.
As soon as you do so, the sound you picked up on stops.
And then I'm going to silently indicate, well, let's go say hello.
The wizard is absolutely not going first in this little endeavor. He'll encourage you from the back.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
Well, you guys all know that Carolee does not like to lead. So she's going to turn to
Sparkle.
Sekish and the brothers.
Show me
Oh, yeah,
this is
Sparkle.
turning out to.
Start making his way. Where'd we see him?
You don't anymore.
Uh,
No, you haven't seen anything. You just heard something.
No, Carolee will be indicating the approximate direction from which she heard the noise.
yeah, I'll go check it out.
Hey, you guys are spreading out, but you don't see or hear anything.
Yeah, shrug my shoulder and let her know. Nothing over here.
It's hard to hide if I light the woods on fire.
There's a very good point.
Just saying.
But I would suggest anyone who's looking to please make an investigation check.
The wizard will definitely be looking around. We've been alerted to that. So investigation.
You guys don't see or hear anything. But Haley, you're convinced you heard something from up there.
Well, Carolee is going to kind of shrug and just kind of turn to the group like, well, now what?
If I were to cast detect magic, would that detect someone who was hiding magically?
If they were using magic to enhance their stealth capabilities, regardless of whether or not they were successful at doing so, yes, detect magic should pick that up. But to be clear, only if magic is being used.
Right. Didn't you say one of the groups could have been a sneaky sort? So
Yeah, the Guilders are sneaky.
I would also
Yeah.
like one of you to make an insight check at this point.
It seems like
What was
we are
that
in a
piece
large
about it?
den of thieves as the saying goes.
What was that, Keith, about an insight check?
I would like each one of you to make an insight check.
Oh, okay.
My insight's not great.
Varric. So you're helping with the search, right?
Mm-hmm.
It occurs to you that when Kaylee first mentioned that she heard something, that all of you were talking about star gems. And
Uh-oh.
realize that if there was someone there, they may have heard you talking about said star gems.
We were talking about star gems.
We
Dang
were?
it. I missed another thing.
Yeah, you were. Indirectly, but you guys were, you did bring them up. That they knew about the prophecy and the star gems.
Oh, right.
So it's go time
Mm-hmm.
before they can even get to them and get back.
Now, that being said, each of you, once Varric brings this up, each of you are pretty sure that, well, yeah, we were talking about them, but we didn't say that we you don't say this out loud, but you're like, say that we had them. But there is definitely rising concern now that one of the groups might know that you have them.
Well, at least know of them, right? But we could
Correct.
also play it off like they kind of brought it up first when we first got here because they were asking us if we had them.
That could be a plausible
Argument.
misdirection. But I'm going to presume you guys are going to continue to search for a little bit. Yes?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I just want to avoid people.
Yeah.
I don't trust anybody.
All right. And with that in mind, presumably you're not searching beyond the boundary of the particular patch of forest that you're in or jungle.
No, I'm
So
not going to
guys-
leave.
Yeah.
The
So you
group
guys
at all.
continue to search for a bit, probably about 20 minutes. And you just don't find anyone or anything else.
All right, guys, and I have to go. We have a neighborhood Christmas party we're going to, so I've got to go get ready. So
No problem, Jim. Thanks for being able to come by.
Take it easy, Jude.
Just before you head off, though, 23rd, I would be 2 weeks from now, and I'm guessing we all are not going to be able to make that, correct?
I'm
would
not
say-
going anywhere. So for me, I'm fine. It doesn't really matter. But I'll up
Agreed.
to
Well, as I
anybody
mentioned
else.
last
Just
time,
post it in the
I would
Discord.
love to play. So if everyone is available and we vote for it, we can definitely do a session. Otherwise, we're off until the 6th.
I would
Yeah,
have to
just-
ask the wife. I think we might do that's the Saturday before, right?
Correct. Sunday is Christmas Eve. Monday is Christmas.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think we might do her side Saturday before. So I might be out.
All right, let's plan.
Alrighty, we'll post it in the Discord. I've got to run. Talk to you guys later.
Yeah, let's
Okay, take care.
Yeah,
report
Jim.
back in Discord. Thanks a lot, Jim. So yeah, moving forward, everyone, let's post back in Discord whether or not we think we should or can make a game for next Saturday and try to avoid another 4-week period. But no matter what, hell or high water, we will meet up again on the 6th.
Sweet. What time is it? Is it close?
We got another half
1:30.
hour. Do you
Oh,
guys
all
want to call? You guys want to call it early since we're 2 down?
We can do that.
Yeah, could do that.
Yeah, I
That
think
makes
it's not a
sense.
bad stopping point as we're deciding what we're about to do.
Right. It's not a bad stopping point. I agree.
Yep. I think that makes sense.
My lunch is ready, so it's good timing.
There was one thing I was hoping you were going to accomplish today, but no big deal. It definitely doesn't need to happen today.
I
How
can't hear you.
Yeah,
I
I
said
can't
there was
hear
one
you.
thing I was hoping that you guys would accomplish today, but it's not a big deal. It doesn't have to happen today, but it would have given you something to think about for the next 2 weeks. But I think you got a few things to consider. I will try to. I think I'm up to date on the YouTube videos. If not, I'm only like one behind. But I will get this one up quickly so you guys can think about your conversations and your interactions. I would definitely suggest going back to last week's one and going over the party scene, what was shared with you and when and by whom, because there's probably
Right.
a lot of useful information in there. And needless to say, especially for you completionists, there's plenty more to actually explore within the confines of your current biome. So
Okay.
you guys have options. You have characters to potentially engage and or avoid, areas to discover, and you have characters to be the doors to Grandal that they reference. You've got things to do. But
Oh
with
yeah.
that, and though I am hoping that we will have another session in 2 weeks, just in case we don't, may you all have a very, very happy holiday and positive new year. We definitely could use the upswing.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
You too
Yeah,
as well. Cole.
always, guys.
I already hear the power tools going.
Sorry.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and close out the recording to the audience. Thanks for joining us. We will be hitting session 80 next time, whether it's for you guys, it'll probably only be a couple of seconds, but for us, it could be a month. Anyway, we'll see you all next session.